Right, our apologies to the viewing public for our late start, but we will officially call the city council meeting to order. If everyone's had an opportunity to review the claims for payment and the minutes from last month's meeting, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Neil.
Second, Krista.
Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion?
One quick question. How many units of the fire turnout here? That $11,824?
Okay, that's not all, that's not the whole turnout here yet, it's parts of it. I believe that we're doing 13.
13?
So.
This is kind of bits and pieces of
Yep.
it, so there'll be an additional
Yep.
amount coming.
Oh, yeah.
A lot, I don't know how
We
much.
did not get the grant, so, I think the fire relief is gonna kick in some too.
Either way, we gotta have fire.
We have to have it, yeah, we had to get it, so.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember.
We had
exactly.
talked about doing X number per year, but the fact that all of them are so far outdated that they just needed to start updating all of them to make them safe.
Yeah, I think there was 13 or whatever it was that were past that 10-year. Then we're gonna, I think, do 2, but there's money saved up. So, you know how money for the project.
I had a question about the insurance premium, is that quarterly?
Which insurance?
7189. The health insurance premium, is that monthly?
That is monthly, that will include
Okay.
5.
Okay, it went up, that's what I was wondering.
Until I'm there,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
If there's no further discussion, there is a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Open forum.
Dave,
Doesn't appear that there's anyone here for open forum. Does the council wish to add anything to the agenda at this time? If not, we'll move on to item number 2.
I make a motion to approve resolution 16-22.
Thank you.
Neil, second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve resolution 16-22, adopting the reassessment of special assessments. Any further discussion? None heard, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Agenda item number 3, discussion on the responsibility regarding enforcement of the vehicle towing during snow emergency. We've got Deputy Luke Jakes here to clarify or answer any questions. I think it really came down to whose shoulders does it lie on? The city needs to get the plowing done. We have an ordinance in place that says there is no parking on city streets anytime there is plowable snow. And I think it was a little more of a problem this last storm, was it not, Dave? There were some vehicles left on the,
Last storm, the last storm I had plowed around 2.
okay,
That's very good.
was it the first one then that was a little more
Yeah,
cumbersome?
probably the December one, yeah, my Christmas one. We had towed a couple.
So I think there was a discussion last week about whether it should go through law enforcement. They get very busy as well. Or if the city can make that call themselves and just place the call and have it towed. I have mixed feelings on that. Any words of wisdom?
We are more than happy to do whatever you guys want us to do, you know. What would be nice is if, you know, we could, so like City of Olivia, they're setting out a snow emergency, have your vehicles off the road from this time to this time. So if we could have some communication of like when you wanna plow, I know that maybe that's not always feasible, but then we can make it an effort to have a deputy in the area to make sure when vehicles, they're gonna start plowing at 4, we have a deputy in town moving vehicles out of the way.
So you're not being notified? Because I know it was on Facebook, and I know it was publicized, I know Dave did the publication, you weren't just notified.
No, I didn't know anything. What, like, so in Franklin and I believe Morton, what we do is the city contacts, I believe it's Jason Mathwood, the chief deputy, and he'll send out a code red to the residents saying, you're gonna plow snow, have your vehicles off the roadway. And I also think they put if they have a city Facebook page, they put it on their city Facebook page. So that way, if you're not signed up for code red, maybe you have Facebook, you can see it on the Facebook page. That way you give them a fair warning, and I think if feasible, time is, is helps, that,
You know how many people use code red? I mean, we have it on our phone, I like it, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of helpful.
I don't know for sure. The sheriff we probably could pull those numbers. But that's the only problem with code red is you have to sign up for it, so it's, not everybody has it, obviously, so that's where the Facebook.
Except the landlines.
Yeah,
It
right,
automatically goes to all landlines, but very few people have those landlines. And if you want to come to a cell phone or email, you have to register for it, so you have to sign up. and
So I wonder if, I mean, like I said, I know Dave put it out there because we got it notified that it was on. I wonder if what we should do is not using code red for don't run to, which is a great idea. And I never gave that a thought because I get it for everything else. That's a great idea. But I wonder if we should do another round of trying to get people in town to sign up for code red also. It doesn't cost them a darn thing. And it's a good way to do that.
Did you guys put it on like, I didn't know anything about Code Red. Wasn't it on Q102 though, when Operation Snow Desk?
I don't, which one?
It was on one of them. Pretty
It
sure.
was on like
Yeah.
the Q102,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was on that one.
I heard it, yeah, we heard it too.
It
Yeah,
was on all the available media.
yeah,
But I do like the code red thing.
Either Sheriff Abel, Deputy Sweeter, or, everybody's been contacted, and we're
Yeah.
doing our best to reach out to the community,
Yeah.
personal Facebook pages, and
And again, people know when it rains. I mean, they should know. But
yeah.
I do like the code red thing because the people who have it then are gonna get notified directly
Mm-hmm,
Right.
without having to look for it.
mm-hmm.
And I know Don and I put it up on Facebook as soon as we knew
Right.
of the city emergency. This last one I didn't know about, so I don't know if that one got put up on it, but it
Are you guys
should.
putting a time frame on there, or just putting that there's a snow emergency?
I think Leslie put it 4 a.m. or something, I believe.
well, we've got multiple events.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about it separately as to what happened on each one, because when the office is closed, and we decide to call, guess what, it's not gonna be on the city Facebook page. Because we want personal Facebook stuff, and I encourage people to share. And that worked very well the last time, as I said, there's only 2 cars, so it was good. My conversation with Sheriff Hable is he would like us to implement Code Red and use that, and I don't know if that's what this conversation is about, I don't know, but,
It's just about everybody getting on the same page, so that
Yeah.
the community knows and the council.
notification is always the biggest thing, so we're trying to do as much as possible, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you can't get around on your own,
Yeah,
get your
exactly.
car around. And a lot of people were stuck in the street on the Christmas snowstorm, because it was just that wet, heavy, and caught people really unprepared for that much snow.
But I think Deputy Jakes has a really good point, though, that we almost have to give them a deadline. And I honestly don't remember if you had set time parameters, but if you give them a deadline saying crews will be on the streets by 4 a.m., your vehicles must be removed or they will be towed. Even if you don't get out there until, say, 5, that still gives us that time frame that we said your vehicle has to be moved by X time. It needs to be removed or we will tow it. So,
Well, again, like I
It's been
just,
done.
yeah,
right.
yeah, but I really think moving forward that we really need to at least put a start time on it so that then we can contact, like, the sheriff's department saying, hey, we have X, Y, and Z streets that have, blank number of cars that are not in compliant with our snow emergency. We need to get them towed.
Who would be that individual that runs around and does that then?
I don't know.
Those are vehicles?
Who would go with law enforcement then? Dave says we're gonna plow at 4, then would somebody from law enforcement be at 3 or whatever and go around and, okay, that's kind of.
Yeah, we'll make sure to,
That's what they're.
So I have a
Yes.
couple comments with all this.
We'll
So
try to.
in the past, number one, part of our new ordinance from, was it last year? Was that we're not obligated to call a snow emergency. I don't want someone from the community calling up the office and being upset because they're like, you didn't call a snow emergency. We don't have to call a snow emergency. The ordinance says if there's plowable snow, you cannot be on the street, period. So I'm all in favor of using Code Red or any other type of social media to get the information out there and remind people. Secondly, historically, if a vehicle's left on the roadway, they've been left a warning along with the city's ordinance, a copy of the ordinance. The next time they are cited, and then it's the third time that it's towed, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we've done it that way in the past, yeah. But whatever you guys wanna do, I mean, the first snow, we can give out warnings, and then after that, we can tow vehicles, I mean.
But when we get the vehicles off the road, the plows, the roads are so much better when we get off. I mean, it's so much safer for the guys to do it that way too and stuff. I just think it's.
Well, it saves time too. They're not coming back a second time. If they plowed around a vehicle, now they have to
Yeah,
come back and
yeah.
clean it up a second time and.
I think it's a zero tolerance in my opinion, but that's just me. But I like the Code Red thing. Like I said, I can't believe I didn't think about that because and all the other things is, but that, and I think that we should put it on everything we can do for people to sign up on. I think we should put a sign up. I think we should put it on our Facebook page. I think we should put it here. I think when people get their water bills, there should be some, I mean, I just think that we should encourage as much of that because that's force. You see it. You don't have to go to Facebook and look at it. You don't have to listen to the radio. It just comes to your phone. And that's what I like about it. That's my 2 cents worth.
I like the use of it. I have a little bit of hesitancy. I don't want people to become complacent. It is an emergency notification system. So if it's used for everything, I don't want it to alert and they're just like, oh, it's another Code Red. And
Well,
they don't bother looking at
That's
it.
probably why I didn't think it could be done, but then if Franco's doing it, then that's, I guess, my deal. It is called so emergency, Julie.
So the best thing to do would be to contact Jason then, would he be the go-to guy for the city?
For the Code Red?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would then he notify whichever staff was gonna be over here to,
yeah, I think that's kinda where,
is that all you do, Frank?
I think Dave is letting someone know, and then it's not getting passed to
Okay.
everybody,
That's what
cause
I
there's
think.
3 of us that split our time here, and then,
Right, so that's what I was trying to get, what's the standardized approach we should use?
Oh.
If Jason, he's gonna,
Well, and clearly Scott said he was interested in this happening, so I mean, the sheriff himself was saying,
yeah.
we should do this.
I just wanna follow so that everybody's.
I agree,
following
I
the
agree.
same path we're on.
And I don't know, maybe it could be, if they call dispatch and advise dispatch, and the dispatch could let the road staff know? Or would that bother
I
dispatch?
I prefer to go to a common entry point to have one person.
Yeah.
So if,
That's right.
yeah, if the chief deputy's willing to take that on, that, he doesn't send them out anyway, the dispatcher sends it out.
Okay,
But at least then there's no miscommunication
Right.
between shifts, between dispatchers. You know, that the note's laying there and one already sent it out and then the next one goes, oh, I have to send that out. And they send it, you know,
Right.
as long as there's just one person you contact and then the information will flow from there.
So if we were just say, like, I think David done, we're gonna start plowing 4 AM until plowed curb to curb, that's good enough?
I think so, I think
Okay.
that'd be fine. And I think for now, you know, let Jason know,
Jason,
we're in the process of, we have a sergeant now, we're in the process of getting another sergeant with a few different responsibilities. That's, when that ever happens, one of those sergeants will be responsible for the cities, so then that will be a good contact point, but for now, I think Jason.
And I wanna reiterate, I don't think you would do this, Dave, but I think we should still do all the other things we do. I think this is just another communication.
oh yeah, we still do Facebook.
Absolutely.
Or, yeah, whatever else you want to do. Yep,
But contacting this Jason, that's gonna be something then that Dave will have to do, right? Dave or
let's
Dusty?
work here,
Is that correct?
we don't have a problem doing it, so.
Look, have you talked to Scott about the whole
No.
situation? Okay, let me tell you what Scott and I have talked about. Scott is in the process of setting up the credentials for me to initiate the code red when I want to.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go through us.
It doesn't have to go.
Franklin, Morton, they just call us, but, yeah. That does not have to go.
Okay, so then our discussion on the code red that's got pushed is, we don't wanna be announcing a code red at 9 o'clock at night, that we're gonna plow at 4 in the morning. We wanna do that at 6 o'clock or earlier. We're not gonna, so we have to kind of decide, you know, what's gonna happen. So when he wanted to use code red was when people were getting stuck in the street and we had, you know, knew where we were gonna go. We knew them in the forecast, when it was gonna end, and when we were gonna be able to go. This last event that lingered on, didn't know if it was gonna keep on going or not or whatever, we decided to plow at 11 o'clock, that we were gonna plow at 4 or 3, because we didn't see the break till then. We can say we're gonna plow, but then when the winds don't break or the snow doesn't break, you can't go.
Well, and
We can only go when we're safe, so what Scott and I were talking about on the code red as to who initiates it, it's just a timing thing, okay? I have no problem issuing a code red at 7:30 in the morning, saying, hey, we're plowing at 8 o'clock. I have no problem with that, but I'm not gonna wake up somebody that's already in bed at 10 o'clock and when him and I first had the conversation, so. It went back and forth for a couple of days with Scott, how it could be used, what the best way to use it. And the last discussion I had is he's getting the credentials for me to initiate.
so go back to Julie's
This
comment,
or flood or whatever.
Back to the-
but going back to Julie's comment though, the ordinance still says, whether you have a code red or any other relation, the ordinance says that if we have a plowable snowfall, you will remove your car. So, I mean, whether you're notified or not, you're supposed to know that.
I just know in past years, that was an issue, is that you had to declare a snow emergency before you could tow their vehicle if they didn't comply. We took that out of the ordinance, it's not.
Okay, so, but can I get back to what we're talking about? Who's responsible for the towing? So if Dave's gonna do the code red, we're back to who's gonna contact law enforcement ahead of time so they know to.
I always want to
Okay.
contact law enforcement and
Okay, that's fine.
initiate that. And that's where it's always been done.
Okay, so,
The other communities, you know, my position will call it tow truck, but it's working good for me and law enforcement in town the way it is now. Law enforcement is always involved when we tow, because one car that we towed sat in the same spot for 2 months. Okay? Multiple warnings, stuff on this. Other guys, I've had a problem with, just were new to town, didn't know, and ignored the warnings.
An idea is maybe we need to put a copy of the ordinance, or not a copy of it, but post the ordinance out on Facebook too, now that since we've had so much snow. So make people more aware that maybe aren't aware
Or the
that it
beginning of every
changed.
winter.
Well,
Yeah,
then
post it
it
on there
changed and
and-
stuff, but yeah, have a thing at the beginning of the winter, hey, reminder everyone, this is the ordinance, so please comply type thing.
can I get back to, so, we're kind of going around in circles. So Dave, you contact who at law enforcement to tell them when you're starting so they know to get over here and do the calling for you?
I am pleased to tell you that the last 2 snow plowing events, we have a cruiser running around the morning when we are plowing, and it's great. It's great to see that. I don't know who it is, who's on duty, but they know who the problems are, boom, right then and there. And a lot of times, the one that he just took it upon himself, we talked about it later, and, you know, the one, hey, this one's gotta go, it's been here for 2 months, so. There's really good communication with the sheriff's office and us, the snowplow group, really good, so. And again, I think we're doing our due diligence, putting the notice out there. Unfortunately, the one thing we're not talking about is the attitude of some people, I have nowhere else to go, so I have to leave it here, you know? And where else am I gonna park? And that's becoming a factor that I turn over to law enforcement as well too.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we discuss this a couple of years ago when they said that, and we said there's other lots, I mean, there's a city lot, there's, basically they can move to, we've told them that, right, in the past, that we, I mean, maybe not the same person, but we've said, there was a city lot, there's no place you can park temporarily, if you don't have any place right around your spot.
So you're gonna contact them, you've been doing it, the first comment was there was a communication issue, but you're saying there's not, so,
No,
okay. I just wanna make sure.
Tom Sweeter's usually calling me and asking, or Abel's asking me, hey, when are you gonna plow? And, I mean, Scott called on the second one and, hey, we're done. You know, that's when we decided at 11 o'clock, we're going at 4, and he called me at 7 o'clock, and they were done.
Problem is, and that's at our agency, I never get notified of any of this, so, and so that's just us as it is, an agency not passing on the information, because every 2 weeks I'm in the city, and then every 2 weeks Sweeter's in this, so we rotate, and I'm not getting any of these
So-
notifications.
I think what we're saying, like, we want one contact person that you would call or whoever from the office.
And then they could pass
Is
it.
is that okay? So-
Okay, and that's another point that Havel and Sweeter both brought up too, is they would like us to call into dispatch so they can put it on the Renville County, Facebook page as well, because you have a huge following, he says, on that. So that's what, and they've been putting it on that as well too. So,
And those all work. And back to the towing, anytime you talk about towing a vehicle, my preference is that it goes through law enforcement. Especially when it comes to picking and choosing which ones are going to get towed. It'd be different if they're all getting towed or none are getting towed, but if you're saying this one needs to go, this one, you know, oh, I know whose that is, I'll just give them a call and tell them to move it. I just, when you're picking and choosing who's gonna get towed, I prefer it went through law enforcement.
That's the way it has been, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What's it cost to get to?
So I called Ed's Towing, and they try to keep it reasonably priced when they do these snow emergencies or remove it for the cities. It's around $100, they said. And what they do is, obviously, the owner of the vehicle, if they show up, they pay the $100, but after 45 days, if the owner hasn't came and claimed the vehicle, then the bill gets sent to the city or the sheriff's office to pay that.
What happens to the vehicle then? Does it get like repossessed or something?
Well, possibly if they owe a loan on it, yeah. If they don't, then I think Ed's gets to
Keep it?
do whatever they want with it.
You have all that down in the notes?
Tracy does though.
Video too.
I'm kind of impressed you only had 2 vehicles to go around.
I am too, actually.
and I really think that, and that effort was put out, again, with the sheriff's Facebook thing and, the personal ones going on. The office was closed when we decided to go already, and, so.
Okay. As long as we're talking about plowing, I did hear of a concern down on Oak Avenue, the railroad tracks. Does that not, and I didn't get down there to look at it, is there 2 crossings down there? Or is there just the one?
One on County 5 and one on 10th Street.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure which one he's
It's
talking
not
about.
passable to 10th Street.
It sounds like
Yeah, it is.
XL Energy was down
No,
there
it is.
working.
Yeah. It is, I drove through it tonight.
Tonight, okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't
It
on.
was the one down by John Schultz's place there, or with, you guys got a call, I got a call, but I drove, I don't know when you were down there, but this,
Cleaned it out this morning.
yeah, this person looked at it on Saturday.
Yes,
They tried to get through and it was blocked and they were,
because the railroad arms were down.
There's no arms.
there's no arms on
But
that
no, they were down on 5.
on 5.
So then, you'd go over to shoot down on 10.
Oh.
They were
and
having problems all day with the arms, up and down, up and down.
They are.
They were
Everywhere
down
of it.
from like 5 p.m. at least until after 8.
Yeah. There's a lot of snow down there.
And plows,
That's what there is.
and plows can trip those arms when they go across. Normally just the county's the only one that'll plow that.
Okay.
On 5, I mean, Dave, not on 10.
On 5, yeah.
Okay, good enough.
And I'd like to address the 10th Street thing, that is so plugged up if you've never been down there before. And it just takes man hours on top of man hours on top of man hours, and you have to have a place to put it, equipment to haul it. And it's just, been a forever battle for the city. The railroad took out a bunch of brush and stuff 2 years ago down there, which complicated the problem even more.
We can't just blow west.
If you blow it west, it's coming back.
Well, I mean, maybe it's it gets done.
Well, we have the problem on Sunrise Avenue up there on County Road 52 and, the city hired a bulldozer to go through there today and open that channel up so we got a place to put Sunrise Snow as well as the park out there. We've never piled snow in Sunrise Park before, but there's a huge pile down there now, instead of carting it across town.
We need some additional snow fences on the outskirts there somewhere that would help block some of that
Well,
coming through.
you would think the county, gets the snow across number 5 before Sunrise gets it, so.
We got one there.
They've done their due diligence, but we get, the landowner would not let us put a living tree line in there years ago, and, it's just a bad situation up there. Bill, what did you say?
We got a snow fence out there.
Yeah. Can't really see it anymore.
Yeah, we're gonna make windrows out of it, I know, but
It's no snow hill.
that's why I put the flags in there, so snowmobiles don't hit. That's it.
All right, good segue into, item number 4 then, Public Works Maintenance Department report.
Well, sorry I haven't given you guys anything for the last few weeks, but, that's all we've been doing is fixing snow equipment, plowing and hauling and making space for snow and trying to keep everybody happy. So, yeah, the railroad tracks for 10th Street is a sore spot, but, everybody can get around. It's not a life or death road. And I'm glad it's open today.
I guess who would the public contact? I mean, if they come up to the railroad tracks and the arms are down, there's no trains,
There's a telephone number there on arms.
is there?
Usually they call dispatch.
Dispatch.
In unison, they said it.
TCW, and he says, okay, we'll send a maintainer out.
If they
Thank
did,
you.
Coming from the
Blanco.
cities.
From Blanco.
Michael.
Oh, dispatch. Yeah.
Anything additional for Dave? Questions, comments, concerns?
A couple things that are coming up you guys should be aware of is we're going to attempt again to fix well 8 out there with the electrical problem issue. We had to cancel that because of the weather. We're gonna try to do it again on Wednesday, and I'm just hoping that takes care of it, because we're still down to 1 well, and this emergency only use on the other one, so cross our fingers and hope it works.
Okay, anything further for Dave? If not, move on to item number 5. Discussion on possible adoption ordinance 224, regulating the sale of edibles.
So we did call, the sheriff about this, and they're gonna enforce whatever the city wants to do. He wasn't gonna give us advice on one or the other, so. Tracy and I both noticed today, the league had something posted about that the legislature is taking this up already, so it's something you wanna just wait if they do, or, I don't know.
They're starting the process of a hearing this
Yeah.
week, so.
I mean, if those things
So
take
it's on
a
the agenda
while.
this week?
Yeah,
This
for
year,
like,
I mean?
Wednesday, I think that said, the 11th.
I didn't run any of this by an attorney either. I took what Krista had mentioned, a couple of the ordinances, and I just eliminated a temporary or an emergency type thing where it ends in a couple months. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me either. Either this council thinks this is the way it should be. I don't know why you didn't want to just have it for a couple months and then, I don't know.
We have a start date on
It would be as soon as it's published and, yeah.
Are these things legal? They're legal? I
What do
don't,
you mean, are they legal?
these
Are edibles legal?
edible,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was the problem.
You said you don't know, Neil.
They're sold in town.
Well, I know that, but I didn't know if that meant they were,
So I have a question, is there a, I mean, I don't know how this all, because I wasn't part of that, but is there a complaint about this, or is this came up because somebody complained about it, or is it a problem?
It's come up through meetings that we've attended, the league has had it, a lot of notices on it. And they're kind of studying as they go along too, to give the city's advice on, possible advice on what to do. Passing this too, I mean, it would be fine because if the state law is adopted in section 1.
Yeah.
So whichever would be restrictor, the more restrictive, what we have here is regulations, or what the state has is what's gonna be the law. So, I guess.
And I suspect a lot of municipalities have the fear that little pop-up stands will start to just show up. And that was part of the impetus of this,
All over the
just,
cities?
you know,
Oh,
yeah,
Oh,
there,
you're there all the time, you know what I'm talking about.
There.
Every little store or corner that you can put a sign in there.
it's like a lemonade stand.
It is.
They just put up a little, yeah,
so these are being sold in 2 locations in Bear Island now, correct? And if we pass this, could anybody else in town start selling them?
they could, but they'd have to follow the A through E
Okay.
regulations.
any other business could, you just can't set up a,
So Hardware
Your-
Dan could start selling it,
Yes.
but he has to adhere, he has to go A through E.
Yes,
I see. But the people that are selling it now that didn't have to do this would be grandfathered in.
no, I think they would still have to follow, I mean,
Oh, they would.
I think they're already doing,
I do too.
other than this first one, they would just have to send notice to the city what they're. that
So
they're
do we reach out to them and tell
I
them
would.
we've
Yeah.
adopted this now,
Yeah.
so you need to conform?
Yeah, I would send a copy, I'd
I see.
call the 2 places, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, yeah, I don't see anything wrong. But again, this didn't get, the attorney would have one, the attorney to look over this before.
and I'm not opposed to this, just because the council may put this in place with the attorney's approval, doesn't mean it can't be amended in
Right.
2
Or
months or
rescinded.
6 months or 12 months, or rescinded, yeah. Just a thought, but I would like to see the attorney look it over and see what he thinks before we.
I'll make that motion that we approve ordinance 224 based on our attorney's recommendation. Or review, I should say.
Second.
Motion on the table and a second to approve ordinance 224 following the attorney's review and approval of such wording. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
an immovable place of business is out of the trunk of a car, or something like that, yeah.
Are you thinking of these vehicles that are disabled and not running, that they could just, it's not movable?
Well, we're, in the state where I'm saying it is, well, there's all the food trucks and stuff sitting on the
Yeah.
lots. So they're, you know, they'll sit the food trucks on a Quick Trip Plaza, because that's her favorite place. But I mean, a gas station lot. Am I wrong?
You know, it's a main staple of the US.
Anyway, so,
I'm just saying.
and then they're selling them right out of the food truck or
Oh, sure.
with it, you know, or
Yeah.
there's a sign right on it, eligible here or whatever, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you gotta get bananas at like 1 a.m.
And they always have bananas.
We also see, you know, just like we used, the fireworks stands show up in the summer and the sweet corn stands show up, so it's no different, they're just these pop-up stands. That's what we don't wanna see.
You don't know where they're coming from, you don't know the quality, I mean, you don't any of that stuff. At least in the store, you have an idea that.
It's a little more regulation. Okay. 2023 mayor appointments. Now Deb, included the 2022, I do have the 2023 ones out, these around. They remained the same other than Krista and I made the swap on the EDA. Otherwise, it is the same as the 2022.
You're gonna wanna maybe, did you put Tracy for the EDA?
Oh. Did not.
You guys and gals need me to stay or?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, so with the correction of Tracy replacing Deb on EDA. It'll be a joint effort for January, the little one.
Yeah, I'm just also.
How long is Jeff staying on with us?
Oh, so, I'm here.
Okay.
Don't know.
We don't know. Okay, well, I just didn't know as he's your assistant mayor, I didn't know if we needed to make changes to that if he was seeking to leave us sooner.
I think, it's,
I'm here.
that can be changed at any time, can it not? So,
I think, Julie, I have a suggestion under Parks and Rec, that Dusty be listed as the city contact. Dusty's been doing a great job, being the first guy there, he's mowing there, he knows what's going on more so than me, so I think that would be appropriate.
okay. Done. I did reach out to Todd Fritsch to see if he wanted to continue on the Pioneer Library Board. I did not hear back, so I assumed it was okay. So if there's no other recommendations for change,
Motion to approve.
thank you.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the 2023 mayor appointments with the changes noted. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Carried. If this council has nothing further to discuss at the meeting, we will officially close this meeting.
Nice job.